Hello all. So this session is going to be on logical conditions that you can use it in your calculated fields. So we have got an enough idea about what is the meaning of a calculated field and how do you actually make use of a calculated field. Along with that, we have got an idea about what are the different types of functions that you could actually use it that is going to support you for performing any kind of or to write a logical conditions. So all these ideas are very clear with us. Now, in fact, it is like putting all the things together. And before that, we need to also look into some of the logical functions also, so that our logical conditional writing will become easier for us. Okay. So first of all, let's discuss about the logical functions. And then I will run through a scenario wherein we have to make use of a logical condition. I'm not sure if you remember it or not. In the first session, when we spoke about the various things about your aggregation and disaggregation of your data by making use of your calculated fields, I just ended that session with a question. What was the question was, suppose if I wanted to know what is the average order value of the product subcategories I manage compared to everything else. So if I have to find out an answer to this question, basically I need to make use of logical conditions. Okay, so we are going to see that how we are going to make a use of a logical conditions to get an answer for this particular question. And also we will just look into how we can we will just have an idea about uh, why do you use a logical calculations as well. Okay, so first of all, let us understand why do we use a logical calculations. Generally we use logical calculation just because of the reason if you want to determine if a certain condition is going to be true or false. Okay, so say for example, the type of logical condition that I'm going to speak is, let me just clear all this. Yeah, so the type of logical condition could be, I am just checking out sum of the sales is greater than, yeah, sum of the sales is the measure that I'm using, and if it is greater than 1 lakh, I just wanted to find out. Okay, so this is just a Boolean condition, right? So this Boolean condition could be used with in your calculated expressions. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of a logical calculation, and this is how a logical calculation will look like. Now, when I talk about a logical function in Tableau, Tableau is actually coming up with lot of logical functions. Okay, so the very first example that we are going to see for the logical functions in our Tableau is, let me just close this. Okay, and I'm going to share my Tableau now. So yeah, so this is my Tableau environment here. It is there. So now what I wanted to show you is the different kind of functions which is available with your calculated field, right? So now we are having our calculated field and it is in place right now. Okay, so now what I have is, there is something called as an in function. Okay, so you can actually use this. Yeah, in is the function. So what this in function will do is that it will just check. Okay, see the example is here. See, sum of the cost is one measure. If the sum of the cost measure is there in this expression or not, we are trying to find out. Okay, so generally in is a function that you will use it between two expressions. There is one expression here and there is another expression here, and you wanted to do a comparison between these two. That's what we have done. Sum of cost is a measure and you are trying to identify whether this sum of cost measure value is there in this expression or not. Okay, so you will try to make use of a function called as an in. Then we have one more function which is our and function. And function is something that you must be very much aware, because this is where we try to perform a logical conjunction of two expressions, right? So this is the way you make use of your and condition. So if there is an expression and also there is one more expression, then we can write it like, I can just write it like this. Okay, if maybe I will just drag in something, maybe like, if this profit is there. So if there is a profit is, if profit is equal to some value, I'll give 100. Okay, and also I will just check if the sum of the sales is greater than 100, then I can write whatever I want here. Okay, so then you will end that function, and you can end that expression. Just an example I'm showing. Of course, we will make use of this in a use case, and then I'm going to anyway show you how this is working. All right, but this is one more logical function, which is your AND function. And most of the time, AND logical function is going to be used in this manner, where you will have one expression before and then followed by and then another expression. What this basically do is that it will try to check if both the conditions are true, then only it is going to give me a result as true. Otherwise, if any one of the condition is false also, then my result is going to be false. Okay, this is how this particular function works. And then we have something called as a case function. So case is something that you will be using it just because if you wanted to, have multiple values, you will have one expression, and then when there is a value, then you return something like that. You will make use of your case expressions. For example, if you wanted to write like this, like for example, I will write it like case, and then I'll just specify region. Okay, case region. And when it is going to be west, okay, then 1. Okay, that's all. And if it is when it is going to be east, then you give 2. Okay, so like that you can write it and then end it. So this is the way you can make use of your case expressions. Case expressions is again a logical function. Okay, then we have else is the one more function that you can make use of it. Else is something which you will commonly use it along with your if. You know that very well. So if there is a condition, and for that specific condition, if a condition, then it is going to, uh, return something. Otherwise, it is going to return something. Suppose, for example, if sum of the sales is greater than 0, then you say that it is a profit. Otherwise, you will say it is a loss, right? So like that, you can make use of your else condition. And there is also an else if. In else if, you can actually give a multiple conditions like this. For example, let me just take my sample if it is there. Yeah, it will not be there because it got refreshed, right? I did not save it. So there is a calculated field now here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I just say that if sales, okay, if sales is greater than 100, then I say it is a profit. Okay, else I say it is a loss. That's all. End it. Okay, so this is the way you can, of course, it is showing the errors just because I haven't used the codes and all properly, but this is the way you can make use of your else. Okay, similarly, you can use your else if also. So here again, you can give one more condition and verify it as you do in your programming. End is an expression again, like, it'll test a series of expressions returning the then value, and it must be placed at the end of an expression. If is there, and then if null is there, is date is there, and is null is there, maximum, minimum, not, are. These are all the different logical functions that you can make use of it. Okay, now how do I create a logical calculation? First of all, okay, let's try to understand this. Okay, first what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to take my category to my, let me just take my category to the row shelf. Okay. And then I'm going to take my sales to my column shelf. Okay. Now what we have to do is I'm just going to create a calculated field. Okay. So let me just name it as, we will just give it as sample is the calculated field that I am going to create. Okay. What is the sample calculated field which I'm going to create is, I'm just going to create if sum of the profit is greater than 0. That's what I wanted to write it. Okay. So this is just a simple calculation to quickly check if a member is greater than a 0. If so, it is going to return a true. Otherwise, it is going to return a false. Okay. Now just click on OK. Done. Now we have our calculated fields. A sample is here. Okay. Now we can drag this and paste it here. You can see you cannot aggregate this better further. So if you will color it, and then you can see you can use it for your visualization part. Okay. So this is the way you can actually make use of any calculated fields that we know very well, and we have done this. Okay. Now what is my point is that I just stopped with one question, right? What is the AOE of the product subcategories? Okay. Suppose, for example, if I'm not sure if you remember this or not, we just created a AOV earlier. Okay. So we just created an AOV for the order value. Okay. You just used something called as, let me just take the sample itself. I'll edit it. What we did was we just used a count D function for our order ID. Okay, we just use this count D for order ID, and then we created one sample. Okay, and I think it is giving an error. Let me just delete this. Okay, so for our purpose, just to make things clear, okay, just let us start doing it from the first scratch. Okay, so what we did was, first of all, we just created a calculated field which was called as an orders calculated field. And in this calculated field, what we did was we just used a function called as countD function, inside which we just gave the order ID. Okay, just to get the count of the order IDs. This we did first. And after which, what we did was we just created one more calculated field, which was our AOV. Okay, this is where AOV calculation happened. Then what we did was we just took off the sum of the sales, right? Sum of the sales. Let me just wait for it to come. Okay. So yeah, sum of the sales. And then that I divided it by your orders, right? Orders is the one that we created, that measure we created. So this one was here. Okay. So this was our AOV calculated field. This we did. Okay. So now what that after that we did some kind of visualization. That's okay. Okay. Now what we wanted, where we stopped was that what is the AOV of the product subcategories, right? So just for illustration, let me assume that I'm just managing the categories like machines, supplies, and these categories I'm maintaining. Okay. So to specify this, to answer to this question of what is the AOE of the product subcategories I manage compared to everything else, right? For this, what I have to do is I just have to create one more calculated field. Okay. So in this calculation, let me just give it as a subcategory is what is the name of it. And then what I'm going to do is that we have to do some calculation. the type of calculation that we are going to do here is going to be different. Okay, so we are going to create a new subcategory segment. Okay, so here what we have to use is that we have to make use of an if then logic to create your segmentation. So one segment for all the subcategories that I am going to manage. So I am going to manage copiers, machines, and supplies. Means for that I have to create one subcategory, and the remaining other segments will be falling into the another subcategory. So the formula might be looking something like this. Okay, so I just have to use if. Okay, and then I have to use subcategory. Okay, let me just use subcategory. Okay, if this is equal to, if the subcategory is equal to copiers. Okay, okay, if this is equal to copiers, then what I'm going to do is that I'm maintaining three subcategories, right? So I will use an or here. If the subcategory is equal to copiers, or if the subcategory is equal to machines. Okay, the subcategory is equal to machines, or the subcategory is equal to, maybe one more category is supplies, we will take supplies. Okay, then all of this is going to be, let me see if then is coming. Yeah, then all of this going to be what? It's going to be termed as my subcategories. Yeah, my subcategories. Okay, else it is going to be, yeah, else it is going to be just, I'll give it as others. That's all. Okay, then I'm going to end this. Okay, done. So now you can understand very clearly that all this calculation is saying that if the dimension member of the subcategory is going to match copier, machine, or supplies, I want the data to be classified as a my subcategory. If the dimension member is something else other than those three, I want the data to be classified as other. Okay, so you can clearly understand that we have made use of a logical condition for this particular statement, and in fact we have made use of several logical functions that we just went through earlier. Okay, so now it is created. Now click on OK. It's done. Okay, so now what we need to do is that we just have to check if the dimension member is anything other than those three. That other data has to be classified as an other. Okay, so what we are going to do is that I'm just going to put this subcategory, this one also here. Okay, and one more which I have created, I could have given a different name actually. This is also a subcategory which I have created. Okay, and you can clearly understand here. Okay, so copiers is my category, machines is my category, supplies is my categories. Remaining everything else is giving it as a others category. Okay, so it has classified very well, and the AOV calculated field on this can also be used, like, you know, so we had this AOV, right? So just let us get this into our marks card. Okay, so once we have got this, let me just put a text for this. Okay, you can see here what is the value here. Okay, so what is this answer? Clearly what it is showing is that the AOV for the product subcategory that I am managing is basically higher than the AOVs for the other category. Okay, so probably I should think of getting a raise from my organization. So this is the kind of analysis that you can actually do it by making use of the logical conditions and using the calculated field. Okay, so most of us, like, you know, we can also do it if we are maintaining certain categories in our organization and we wanted to find out what is my average order value So we can find out in this manner, which this will help us to find out if we are doing well with our job or not. Okay. So I hope you got the use case that is associated with the logical conditions on calculated fields. With this, the idea on calculated fields and all the sessions that I wanted to cover with calculated fields is covered. Hope you had a understanding about what is the meaning of a calculated field and how the calculated field could help someone in doing the visualization in a better manner, and also to get new data from the existing ones. So that's all I have for this session. Thank you.